people of every religion, people of every nationality get disabilities.
That's right.
So we are stronger when we can convince more than one party to support our interests. What I say in Canada when I'm doing advocacy is that no political party can afford to ignore the minority of everyone.
What inspired you to advocate?
Well, it's a funny story. In Toronto, which is Canada's biggest city, we've got about 3 million people. We have an excellent subway. It's an underground train. And I was using it every day to go to school. And one day back about 49 years ago, when I was in my teens, I was on the subway going to university, and I was talking to a woman sitting next to me about how I wanted to go to law school. And at this time, I had thought as a blind person that I don't really need to talk to other people about blindness. I just need to live like an equal, and people will treat me like an equal. Well, on that subway ride, everything changed because somebody walked up to me and handed me a couple of dollars and said, "Go buy yourself a coffee." Breaking Borders. AlManarah meets disability activists from around the world.
Hello, everybody. My name is Abbas Abbas. I'm the founder and director of AlManarah, the Association for Persons with Disabilities. I'm so excited to meet you in our lovely and brand new recording studios, which are at AlManarah Center for Independent Living in Nazareth. So I'm so excited to meet you again in our lovely and special podcast, Breaking Borders. And today we have a special podcast in which I have also a co-host, a lovely girl and super talented, which had a wonderful English, and her name is Hiba. Hello, Hiba.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
First of all, how do you feel at the AlManarah Recording Studios?
I feel so excited to be here, especially because it's a brand new place and a center that helps people with disabilities to become more independent.
Exactly. We are dreaming in our new center to empower the people with disabilities, make them achieve their dreams, and to feel equal as other communities.
That's very important.
And today, it's a special moment for you to be a co-host with me, and later we'll meet our guest. So how do you feel to be a co-host?
I feel nervous, but so excited because it's an opportunity to talk about myself and talk about other people's experiences and to learn from them. And it's an opportunity to understand everybody's...
Lovely. First of all, I want to tell you, me too, despite my long experience, from time to time I'm also nervous. So to be nervous, it's very super normal. So feel good and try to think about the great thing that you are doing. And I know that you are, how old are you, Hiba?
I'm 15.
15, wow. And with your lovely and amazing English, believe me, we will have a wonderful podcast. So let's move on and meet our great guest. And he came from Canada. David, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Wow. Me and Hiba are so excited to have you at our lovely recording studio. So how do you feel?
I'm ready to go. It's always great to see you again. And Hiba, it's my first time meeting you, and man, you are impressive. And let me tell you something. When we're nervous, it just makes us do better.
That's right. So what do you think about, before we start, about AlManarah, a new center.
I've just toured the new AlManarah Center, and I am absolutely amazed. It is a phenomenal resource. And while the old one was great, this is huge. It has got all sorts of great facilities, and it was thoughtfully created in a way that will accommodate people with disabilities very effectively. You're going to have a lot of success here, and you're going to have a lot of fun doing it.
Great. And through this podcast, we want to break barriers and make the people with disabilities believe in their dreams, believe in themselves and dreams. So let's go and start and move to my co-host Hiba with your first question to our friend David.
So David, tell me, can you introduce yourself? Let us know who you are.
Okay, I'm from Toronto, Canada, where I've lived all my life. I am 67 years old. I'm totally blind. I've been totally blind since I was about 21. I was born with eyesight in one eye and limited vision in the other eye. And my good eye got worse and worse over time. So by the time I was 20 or 21, I couldn't see at all. I've had a career as a lawyer in Canada. I worked for the government of Ontario, one of Canada's 10 provinces. And I retired 9.5 years ago, and now I teach at a couple of law schools part-time. And I also, as a volunteer, do advocacy for equal rights for people with disabilities.
That's
great.
Great. So tell us, what inspired you to advocate?
Well, it's a funny story. In Toronto, which is Canada's biggest city, we got about 3 million people. We have an excellent subway. It's an underground train. And I was using it every day to go to school. And one day back about 49 years ago, when I was in my teens, I was on the subway going to university, and I was talking to a woman sitting next to me about how I wanted to go to law school. And at this time, I had thought as a blind person that I don't really need to talk to other people about blindness. I just need to live like an equal, and people will treat me like an equal. Well, on that subway ride, everything changed because somebody walked up to me and handed me a couple of dollars and said, "Go buy yourself a coffee." They handed me charity like I was a charity kid.
Wow.
And I was sitting there thinking, I was shocked. I was hurt. I was angry. And it was at that moment I realized that it's not good enough to just be equal. We've got to win the right to be equal. We've got to get laws changed or do advocacy to change the society around us so people aren't treated like this. Now, I'm going to tell you one other funny story. About 25 years later, I was on a subway, and somebody else handed me some money.
Oh, really? Like a deja vu?
And this time, at least, I had an answer. I looked at him. I said, "Excuse me, do you make more money than lawyers make?" And he said, "What?" I said, "You're giving me money because I'm a lawyer, and you think that we lawyers just don't have enough money, so you need to give us more money. You make more money than a lawyer. Is that what you're saying?" And the guy said, "You're a lawyer?" I said, "Yeah."
I was shocked.
Is that so? Your concern is that lawyers just are poor people. Is that it? And he walked away. And I figured, finally, 25 years later, I got the answer.
Wow. Amazing, right, Hiba?
Yeah, it's amazing. So you think that society expects things that are limited? Do you think that because we have a disability, so they have this kind of opinion or perspective that disabled people can't do anything, so they expect less, or their expectations don't actually like
Don't have the potential.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me tell you what the problem is, in my view.
Yeah.
We have a problem, and we have it in every country in the world. And the problem is this. our countries, our societies are designed and operated as if they're not for people with disabilities. As if we're either not there or going to take part. And it's not that they want it that way, but the buildings that we walk around in, the schools where we go to school, and the way we're taught in school, the stores where we shop, the goods that we buy there, the public transportation, they're all designed as if they're for people without disabilities. And it's not like there's some big plan that everybody agreed to make the world that way. But you know what? If there had been some big agreement, plan, conspiracy to build the world that way, it wouldn't look any different than it does today.
That's right.
For us people with disabilities. Now, the thing that makes this ridiculous, it is ridiculous, of course, because there are almost 1 billion people with disabilities or more in the world.
Okay.
But that, in fact, everybody is either a person with a disability now or will be a person with a disability
one
later.
time.
So we are the minority of everyone. So what that means is our world is designed in a way that eventually hurts everyone. And it's in that kind of world that some people, well, they may have heard that some people with disabilities can do things and may have seen things on TV or read books. But unfortunately, too often, not all the time, but too often, those people are considered like they're superstars, like they're superheroes. And the result of that is that that a belief can evolve that people with disabilities can only live as equal if they're superhuman.
That's right.
And that's wrong. Now, I'm not saying everybody feels that way, and I can't even tell you what most people think, but I can just say too many people think that way.
But why do you think they think that way?
Because that's the world they see around them. If you live in a world that's designed as if it's not for everybody, and it's for people without disabilities, then that's natural. And so the world and the way it's designed reinforces the barriers. And that leads more barriers to be created. So it's a vicious circle. And when we win laws that guarantee equality for people with disabilities, which is something we're fighting for around the world, what those laws say is that this vicious circle has to stop.
So let's move to the responsibility on us as a people with disabilities, how we could be active to change this reality. I think the reality will continue. How we could...
How do we change it? Well, there's a couple of things.
Please.
First, we have to realize, like I did on the subway that day, many years ago, that we can't leave it to other people, that we've got to do it, that we have to lead the fight ourselves. And there's many different ways to do it. You can do it, Abbas, you became a lawyer, I became a lawyer, and we have avenues as lawyers that we can make a difference. Or we could, Abbas, you created an organization, AlManarah, which is an incredible organization, which is helping bring independence to and self-reliance and an attitude of self-reliance to so many people. That's another way. Hiba, you want to do that. You're 15, but you're already applying your mind to how you can do that.
That's right.
And that's another way. Sometimes it's just a matter of just talking to the people around you, your family and your friends. But we are forever in the persuasion business. Okay? And that doesn't mean we have to argue. We can often persuade by doing it in a very gentle way. Sometimes the people you're persuading don't even know they're being persuaded. But that's one way. But then we've got to get together and we've got to advocate together. So one of the things that's really important in any country that has an election process and a democratic system of political parties, you can't just say, why is the government doing this for me? You got to get together and pressure political parties to put us on their agenda. And I don't think that disability, it belongs to any one political party. I think it should belong to every political party, because guess what? People of every political viewpoint, people of every religion, people of every nationality get disabilities.
That's right.
So we are stronger when we can convince more than one party to support our interests. What I say in Canada when I'm doing advocacy is that no political party can afford to ignore the minority of everyone.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Okay, so let's move on, because, we are almost about to finish this lovely and amazing podcast, and I want to ask some question and then move to Hiba. What about doing the disability in a sense of humor? Because like to make it more accessible to the others, and to speak on it in a positive way, and to sometimes even to laugh about this situation. Can you have some comment in this idea?
Humor is one of the most effective ways to persuade people.
Yes.
If we're always serious or angry, and that doesn't persuade people.
People say, "Wow, I don't want to be in touch with such boring people."
So one thing I do when I give speeches on disability is I'll talk to the audience about the barriers we face. And I'm totally blind, and the audience knows that. And then I'll say, now, let me stop for a minute here. Before we go any further, I want to know if this topic touches your own life. So I want to do a survey. And it's going to violate your privacy, and it's completely unscientific. So it's really good. I want you to please put your hand up if you have no disability now, and you are certain you will never get a disability for the rest of your life. And then I turn my head from the left to the right, like I'm looking at the room, and I go, I don't see any hands. And everybody laughs. And I said, we are the minority of everybody. Every one of us has a disability or gets one later. And what I've done by that is, on the one hand, I'm having a little fun with blindness, which makes them relax. Or can I talk about blindness? Will I hurt his feelings and all that stuff? No, I show that it's totally okay to do it. And in fact, joking around is totally good.
Yeah.
But the other thing I've done by asking them to raise their hands, they're thinking, should I raise my hands? Before I finish the question, they're thinking about it. And what I've now done through that little joke is made them part of our movement.
Well, amazing. Hiba, do you have some question? Maybe ask him about the jokes.
Okay, so have you ever had an experience, like a blind moment, where it was like, I always have those embarrassing moments. And,
Me too.
Yeah, so can you share?
Embarrassing and like a joke, like funny things.
I love them. I'm walking down the street one day using my white cane in Toronto on my way to work, and I'm concentrating, and I'm thinking about the work I have to do. And all of a sudden, I brush against somebody. And the guy goes, why don't you look where you're going? I figured, what an idiot. And I just said, like a good Canadian, we're very polite. I said, oh, excuse me. And I, walking away, and he goes, why do you watch where you're going? What's with this guy? And he goes, you kicked my seeing eye dog.
Oh
and I said, you're seeing eye, are you blind? He said, yeah. And I said, so am I. And he goes, what's your name? And I said, David Lepofsky. He goes, I know you. And we stood there laughing and talking about it.
So both turned out blind.
Oh, yes. It was hysterical.
Wow, lovely. We are now, as the three blind people, want to say to the whole world, believe in us and see that we want to live with you and contact and socialize and to break all the barriers for both of us and want good life, right, friends?
Right.
Absolutely.
So with this lovely message, before we complete our podcast, I want to say, how was the podcast for you, Hiba?
It was so great. Actually, I don't really know, like, what I learned so many things that our voice matter, and society like doesn't give us the opportunity, doesn't make space for new voices to shine and to show that we matter and we have rights that when we want to advocate for, and we have a voice, we have needs. So the thing is, I learned that we should let our voice echo, because
everywhere.
Everywhere, because this way our needs would be addressed.
Exactly. Wow. With this strong message, we would like to thank our great friend. We are a friendship of more than 5 years, right, David?
Absolutely.
Yes. So I'm so excited. And every time you come, we prepare you some lovely surprise. And today I think it was a lovely thing. So thank you very much, David. I would like to thank also Ronia, who came with you, and would like to thank Ashwaq, the mother of Hiba. And I want to thank all of you. And we would be so happy to share this podcast for your friends, for everybody you know, to be partners with us to break all the barriers for people with disabilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is Abbas and Hiba, and see you soon.
Breaking Borders. AlManarah meets disability activists from around the world.